Welcome back, guys. It seems like it's been forever, but I think I've got it worked out. I had to do some more tests because it's been a while since I had... What's it been? It's been like 6 days since I did a video. And for some reason, every time I don't do a video the following day or a couple days later, all my settings go wonky. So I had to reset everything again. But I'm back. And welcome. Welcome back, and thank you for waiting. So today is December 30th, 2020 is almost over. Oh, thank God. It's been a long decade, hasn't it? Anyways, so I did a book review on McCaffrey's Restory. And in that book review, I commented about some other books I was going to do. Well, this one is one of my favorite. Sassinak. Now, you may have heard of Sassinak now, thanks to a popular book series and TV show that is currently on Starz and Netflix and Amazon Prime and just about everywhere else. And it stars a good-looking man and a very bright woman. And yeah, that's not this. That is not this. This book was written by McCaffrey, of course. It was published in 1990. It's 333 pages. Plus a wee bit more for some ads at the end. But anyways, as I was finishing the book, I kept trying to figure out how I was going to do a review on it, because it's a very complicated series. It was from, or it is in, actually, it's the first book of the Planet Pirates series. However, it gets a little complicated towards the end. The book is split up into four books. And the first one involves Sassinak, that's her name. I don't think she has a last name given in the series. I think she's only goes by the name Sassinak. Or Sass. Or Sassy. But book one starts with her as a child, living on a planet with her parents and her best friend and her brothers and sisters, and then it gets raided by pirates. And she gets enslaved. And it goes on a little bit from there for book one, and then it goes into book two, where she is, after she's been saved from being enslaved, and a gentleman that helped her stay safe as a child while slaved, he gets her into Fleet, which I believe is the governing body of the Federation of Sentient Planets. I think that's what FSP stands for. And she goes into Fleet and she becomes a cadet, and that's basically book two. Book three is where she is in command of her first top secret mission. And that deals with pirates and planets and making a very, very, very hard decision. And praying her crew doesn't mutiny on her. And then we come to book four. Book four is where it gets tricky with me. Because you see, a character is introduced truly in book four of this novel. But then in the second series, or the second book in this series, The Death of Sleep, you meet this character, but it's years before this part of the novel. And then also it deals with what happens in 2 other books from a separate series. Originally a separate series. And it's now been converted into part of this series. And that's from Dinosaur Planet and Dinosaur Planet Survivors. So I was kind of, do I just read to a point and then review it since it's unfinished, and then get to the second book, and then get to the other 2 books, and then get back to the second book, and then finish the first book, and then go on to the... At the end of this book review series, at the end of the series of book reviews, I will leave a timeline of how to read this in chronological order if you want to read it a proper way. It is the most complicated series to get. When I first read it, because this is not the first time I've read this book, but when I first read it, I was fine with it. I was okay. It was all new to me. And then I read it a second time and it was fine. And then I got a hold of the Dinosaur Planet books. And I was like, wait a minute. This sounds familiar. This sounds really familiar. I know this character's name, don't I? But I couldn't figure it out. And then I reread Sassinak. And then the bells started going off. And I was like, wait, no, what? No. But yeah, it's all combined. It's really all combined. And as far as I'm concerned, I love Anne McCaffrey, I do. Rest in peace, my dear. I do love her. But she did us dirty on this book series. Oh, did she do us dirty? She should have left a diagram. She should have left us a map. She should have left us a description, an understanding. And why is there a cat on my desk? Get down. Sorry. But yeah, it's... But anyways, the books themselves are great. And as when I've read Anne McCaffrey, and I've read a good portion of her Pern series, Dragons of Pern, I had actually, until very, very, very recently, considered her a fantasy writer. You know, on this series, she's got help with Elizabeth Moon, and then The Death of Sleep is written with Jodi Lynn Nye, and then the third book, that I can't remember right off the bat title, but the third book is also written with Elizabeth Moon. Now, Elizabeth Moon writes both fantasy and sci-fi. And I thought that a lot of the science fiction that's in this book was written by Moon. But then, as I was reading more, I was realizing I was wrong. And I only paid attention to that after I had reviewed Restory. Because the science fiction that's in this book is very good, very well written, keeps you informed, does not drag on. You are told exactly what you need to be told to understand what's going on without having to deal with a lot of technical garble. that I know some writers are full of. You know who you are. I read a book once. I was actually really into the storyline of the Honor Harrington storyline. And I really liked the characters in it. And then I got into a book. It was further down the series, but I was reading it and reading it and reading it. And I stopped. And I was like, I just read 15 pages of technical garbage. I don't need to know. And I'm not going to read any more of this book. And it just went on and on and on and on and on. And I was like, ah. But this doesn't do that. This gives you exactly the amount of technology that you need to deal with in order to understand the storyline. And she also introduces, in this series, a race, an alien race that is very cryptic. They're called the Thek. Thek. And it's an unusual race, I believe, for a good majority of the science fiction books that I've read. They're basically a race that has a law onto its own. They don't have to abide by any of the SFP rules and regulations. As a matter of fact, any rule that they set down is followed, period. Which is also, which is followed because they pretty much give you the ultimatum in your mind that this will be done. You don't even have to question why it's going to be done, because you're going to do it as if you were ordered and enslaved to do it until whatever task was done. Very interesting type of character to bring into a storyline. I also think it's kind of a cheap shot, because it's anyone could do this if they wanted to. And let's say you were writing a story, but you weren't really sure how to finish it, and you're kind of writing yourself into this corner, and then you could just throw the Thek in and say, oh, they have arrived. We're being summoned. We went in to speak to them, and we left without knowing how long we were there, and this is getting done, and I don't remember why it's getting done, but it was ordered by the Thek, and therefore that's why it is. Yeah, it was kind of a shortcut. But that's okay. The rest of the book is good. I do have one thing that aggravated me in the book, but I won't discuss it yet. It's the way Sassinak handles a certain character that's in this novel, and I won't discuss that right now. I will after I do the second book, but not this book. Another thing I want to comment on about this series, romance does happen in this book, but not like, this is Christian Grey is what it is. It's basically they kissed, the room went dark, and then the next day arrived. That kind of romance, which is kind of weird to me now after seeing where you pretty much read everything that happens in the bedroom. But yeah, that's the other thing. It's a little dated. That's okay. I really don't need to know about sex in space, but whatever. So I think that's it. I'm ready to move on to the second, third, and fourth book, because I'm gonna have to do Dinosaur Planet and Dinosaur Planet Survivors. So that makes it 5 books in this series that I will be reading. And I hope you guys decide to pick this one up and read it. For me, it was a quick read. It took about 4 days, maybe, and that was because I was working a little bit extra hours at work. And customers would just not stop coming in, and I just had to deal with them. And, well, you know, it's 2020, of course. It's a good thing I got any customers at all. So there you go, guys. Sassinak by Anne McCaffrey. Book 1 of the Planet Pirates series, or book 5, depending on which book you look up, because some of them do start to list the Planet Pirates and have the Dinosaur Planet series in that list. And there you go. Thank you very much for joining me. Guys, if you like this, if you like me, please hit me up with the YouTube Trinity. That's the like, subscribe, and comment. And hey, if there's a book out there that you think I might be interested in, please list it below. I'm not saying I will read it, but I might. You never know. But there you go. Thank you very much for joining me, guys. Have a fabulous one. Happy New Year.